Hey guys, Kev here, and it's time to talk about the Rask. This is the Grimsmo Knives Rask, and we need to talk about it. There's something going on here, okay? So you guys saw me take this apart in the unboxing, and I got it dialed in, right? I had no play, and I had a guillotine, right? Just that Grimsmo Rask sort of magnetic action, I like to call it, where when it drops, it just seems like it wants to get sucked in super quickly. And I carried it so I let it Loctite overnight, right? Then I carry it for that next day, which comprised of me sitting here flicking it at my desk. And then later on, I went to my parents' house and just hung out with the kids in the backyard. It was like 65 degrees, just nothing weird. I wasn't rolling around or getting it dirty or anything. It was just in my back pocket. And by the end of the day, it literally just wouldn't even drop shut anymore. It was like getting hung up, and then I'd have to give it a little lean, and then it would drop shut, right? It was very strange. So I had to take it apart again, clean it, which there wasn't anything in there. It just, I don't know. And then I had to tune it again, get it to where I wanted it again, which is this is how it is now. No play, Loctited it. It was dropping shut, but this time I made it a little less drop shut, because originally when I did it left-handed, I would let it drop and it would bounce off the stop pin or whatever and sit back up. So I was like, maybe I'll make it a little tighter this time around, right? So I do that and then let it Loctite. And then yesterday I carried it again, same thing. I'm at home, go to my parents, hang out with the kids. Like, I'm not working in some weird area. I'm not doing anything, right? Just carrying the damn knife in my back pocket. And by the end of that day, last night on the live stream, I was showing people the action just slowed down a whole lot, right? Even like right now, it's definitely better than it was last night, which is odd. But like, it's still not as drop shut as it was. It's odd. It's hard to explain. And it almost feels like if I tried hard enough, I could maybe fail it. And then now I go to do this video, which I literally hadn't touched it since last night. I left it on my desk here. And then I was like, I'm going to do this video. And now, to my surprise, it's like really good action again. So I don't know what's going on with this thing. Now, I was talking to Jacob Lundquist last night, Kvist Blade Works, and he had one of these. He sold it to his friend, and his friend is selling it right now because of that reason. He said he carried it for like a week, and then he had to like clean it already. And that happened a couple of times, and he's just kind of like sick of it. And it's just a deal breaker for him, having to take apart a knife every, few days to get the action back to the way it was. And then I was talking to somebody else, shout out to Mitty, David on Instagram, and he said he saw the live and he's had the same issue with it. And he's just like, he said he has to apply a little bit of oil to the detent ball, which is actually a nub. And then it goes back to dropping shut. So I want to try that real quick, see what happens, and we'll see if it changes. I mean, you can see right now it's really good, but it's not as good as it was. And the detent, like, almost feels a little lighter because of it, because something's dragging in there, right? And that'll basically make your detent feel weak, even though it's not, if that makes sense. The same thing happened on this knife, the River Wolf here from Beyond EDC. If you saw my unboxing, I was like, what is going on? I could fail it real easy, right? Take it apart, clean it, lube it. Now it's got like a perfect detent. So they had the detent right. It was just, they used some kind of grease in there. And that's why it wasn't, perfect. So it's weird because, to me, in my experience, most knives, they get better. They get more drop shut over time because they're wearing in, right? They're wearing a path in, the bearing track's wearing in, the detent track's wearing in, and it just gets better and better and more drop shut and more drop shut. And And that's the case even on these detent nub knives, like the Sharp by Design Mini Tempest here. This one went from not quite drop shut to now it's a full guillotine, right? Now I have another one that's not, but it still has gotten better, you know? As it wears in, it should get better. So I don't understand. It seems a little odd that it's getting worse. And I want to mention, I also emailed Grimsmo Knives. I went through their warranty thing or whatever and answered their questions and sent them a video. And I get it, guys. I'm being very, you know, picky here. We're talking about a knife that is literally dropping shut. But I will say, on Saturday, was it? I think it was Saturday. No, Friday. It wasn't. It was like, it was full guillotine. Then it, for some reason, it was like stopping here. And then I'd have to give it a little shake. And then it would finally fall. And it was like very slowly dropping shut. Where originally it was like ridiculous, you know. If you guys have seen the Rask, you know how it basically is supposed to look. So, yeah, so I sent that in. I also have what I think is the tiniest bit of lock stick. You might even just call it a little bit of drag, but here, see if I can show you. I don't know if you can hear it, but zooming in, it almost looks like the geometry might be slightly off on the lock face. But I don't know. I'm not an expert at all. And now it feels much better than it did last night. So I don't know what the deal is, but it does have a little click. And it's more drag than it is stick. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really an issue. It doesn't, like, make it hard to push over or anything like that. So that's, again, more nitpicky. But, guys, we're talking about a $1,000 knife here. Like, it should be it should be dialed. Like, it should be perfect. It shouldn't have any lock stick at all. Not even a click. So that's how I feel anyway. So if these things continue, the knife will probably move along. But I love it. Like, I really do. I love this knife. I love the ergonomics. I love the choil. I love when it is doing the proper thing. I love the action. I love the detent. I love the flipper tab. I love the thinness. I love the weight. Like, I just love a lot about this knife, how it carries. I love the clip. So I just want to get it perfect so that I can then enjoy the knife as much as I can. You know what I mean? So let's take some oil here. Now, I know they prefer nano oil, so we'll grab some nano oil. But you could use KPL, obviously. Shout out to them. You can use my code LeftyEDC at knifepivotlube.com. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to zoom in. I'm going to try to do this without taking it apart. So you have this. Oh, shit. Oops. What I want to avoid is getting any on the lock face, because then it's going to make that stick even worse. But you have this little nub down there. That's going to be the thing slotting into the detent hole, I think. And then you have this sort of triangle thing, and that's what's making it operate like a detent nub, if you know what I mean. One thing I will say I don't love about the Rask is it feels like you've pushed the lock bar all the way over and you still have some to go. So you got to like push it farther than you think you should, if that makes sense. So like sometimes I'll push it over and I'm like, okay, it's all the way over, and it's not. And then like that time, like there, it's not all the way over. Silly, but anyway. So let's try to do this without, see, it's just oozing everywhere, and that's what I'm worried about. So what I'm going to do instead is grab some of these microfiber Q-tips from KPL. Again, shout out to KPL. And I'm just going to lube this guy up. I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to put it in there. So I'm trying to get it on that little ball and maybe a little bit on the nub. Let's see what happens. See, it seemed like it got worse already because of that. Nope, see? Now it's like ridiculous. Once you get the lock bar out of the way. You can see it's already way droppier than it was a second ago. Will it bounce now? Almost wants to. But you can see a huge difference in my opinion. Look at that. I can't even get the knife turned to like let it drop in. It's already in. So adding that little bit of heavy oil, really, I honestly think the heavy is the way to go, because the 85 or the KPL heavy, because it'll last longer. You know what I mean? It should, in theory, stay in that spot longer than like a lighter oil would. So we want it to be, we want it to last as long as possible, right? So we still have that little bit of a click, but it's honestly, it comes and it goes. So that could be a wear-in thing. Like maybe it'll break in over time. I did in my email to Grimsmo, like I don't think it's worth sending the knife in unless they think that's some kind of an issue. I suggested send me an insert and send me some new bearings, and maybe that could, you know, solve some issues here. One thing I'll say I don't love is that they use tiny bearings in here. They're like 1 millimeter little bearings. They make their own cages, but they use these tiny balls. And I feel like that makes it harder on the action. If you have the larger size balls, I think, I don't know, you could get a little bit more consistent action, even though the action on these is crazy, right? But if it's going to hang up like that after like half a day of me just fidgeting a little bit, that's an issue, right? Like I want my knife to stay in that great condition for as long as possible. Like I don't mind cleaning my knives. You guys know I take knives apart all the time. It's not that. It's just I don't want to do it every day. You know, that's what it, to me, it felt like I have to do it every day. Because I know what this feels like. This feels really good, right? But as soon as it starts slowing down, it's going to bug me. And then I'm going to want it to be like that again. That makes sense. So here's the detent now, right? Like I'm not failing it there. That's me just breaking the detent, right? You know, and then obviously giving it a real flick, it's fantastic. Left-handed, same thing. It definitely feels a little bit stronger now. Like it feels like it's really flipping out when it breaks. Where before it felt like it was just making it out to lock up. So anyway, that's just some weird little stuff going on with the Rask here. I hope, you know, I get it sorted out. I hope they respond quickly. And if they say, dude, you're crazy, like, you know, and that's fine. If they think that, if their knife just needs that kind of routine sort of maintenance. I've never needed it. I've never had a knife where I had to oil it every day. You know, like that's just silly. I get it if you got to do it like every month, you know. But for a guy like me who doesn't carry the same knife every day, you know what I mean? To notice something like that, it's the same thing with like the 80-20.5 and the steel. If somebody like me who doesn't carry the same knife every day is noticing this issue, then it's pretty bad, because there's going to be people who buy this knife and carry this knife solely for like a month, right? I remember somebody last year did Rasktober, where they carried a Rask every day in October. I mean, I would be freaking putting oil on this thing every freaking day. Like, I don't know. So, see what they say. I'm not trying to throw shade at Grimsmo or anything. Their machining, their build quality, all of it is really spectacular, guys. I love the knife. That's why I'm doing this, because I love it so much and I want it to be perfect, right? Or better or whatever. So, yeah. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Have you ever had a knife like that? Have you ever had a Rask? And have you noticed anything like this? Or am I crazy? Could it be just this one in particular? I mean, now I've talked to two other people who've had the same issue. So, but I don't know. And now that stick is basically gone too. It's weird. Yeah. It's like gone. Interesting. All right. Anyway, I love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. And I will catch you later. Hey guys, so I wanted to add an addendum to the Rask video because it's now been 2 days since I filmed it and I have gotten more information. So I talked to the guy I traded my FSD to for this, and I asked him, hey dude, did you use the knife? Like, what was your experience? Because I'm having an issue where it just seems to, you know, need to be cleaned or lubed every, you know, day. And he said it was basically brand new. He had two, and this one just sat in the box, and he flipped it maybe 5-10 times. So I figured since it was from October, it had been carried, used, all that good stuff, and maybe there was just something wrong with it. But to me, it seems like maybe it's just a break-in process, right? So anyway, after the video yesterday, I went through, or 2 days ago, I went through that day, and then today I carried it. So I've been carrying it every day since I got it, but since that video. And today I had to put KPL heavy on the detent nub again, because by the middle of today when I did this, it was just kind of like, it was dropping shut, but it was just barely, like, it was getting to the point where it was gonna start hanging up again, right? So I put the KPL heavy on. I think I used nano oil the first time, so it was kind of just testing stuff. And you can see, as soon as I did it, I mean, it was such a change. It went from, like, controlled close to as soon as I put that on there and hit this, it was like, zip. It was like a magnet again, right? And that's how I like to describe the Rask action. When functioning properly, it's like a magnet. It's like it wants to just get sucked in, right? And then it double bounces sometimes because of that. So that was midday today. And then I've carried it again today. And I flick it constantly because it's addictive. It's such a fun action that you want to sit there and play with it all day. So it should stand up to that, though, right? You know what I mean? So anyway, I did send an email. I did send an email off to Grimsmo over the weekend. I might have told you in the previous part of the video. And they responded today, which was awesome. And they asked for some more information. And I did tell them what I just told you, that it was, you know, I got it secondary, and the previous owner said he'd only flipped it 10 times, so maybe it's just break-in or something. And then I asked them what their process is for break-in, like how they see it or whatever. Gave them whatever information so they can determine if maybe they think there's something wrong or if this is just normal, right? And I mentioned previously, I've talked to other people who have said the same thing, where it just constantly needed maintenance. So I doubt it's just going to clear up or something, but I wanted to add this to it because, you know, if I'm going to say anything slightly negative, I want to make sure I give all the information. I don't really know if it's negative. You know, is it because the action is so good when functioning properly that it's so noticeable when it's not? Is that what it is? Because, like, a knife that drops shut is awesome, right? But this isn't drop shut. This is, like, ridiculous drop shut. But the Norseman does that, and it doesn't. I mean, I've handled one. I've reviewed one. It didn't just stop dropping shut. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it has something to do with the detent system, because it's got the nub and then that sort of detent, whatever you want to call that thing, cylinder thing in there. If that has some kind of effect on it, I don't know. But it's curious, you know, and part of me, whenever it happens, wants to just hate sell the knife, because that's a thing I do. I get mad at something with the knife. It pisses me off, so I hate sell it. I sell it because I'm mad at the knife, right? But here's the thing. I love so much about this knife, right? The detent, when working properly, feels so good. It's just crisp. yet it's not strong, it's not light. It's just like the perfect detent, right? It's like just dialed perfectly. You can't fail it. It snaps out, but it doesn't feel too strong like it eats your finger up. So you can just sit here and do this all day, right? Unlike with the Holt haptics, where I always had to like pause because my finger would start hurting. This just feels more natural, right? So I love that. I love the carry. It's got a fantastic clip, works functionally so well, and it's so thin, guys. It's like an Addendum, TRM Addendum on steroids, right? It's got an excellent ergonomic grip, choil. Like, it just feels really good in hand. And this blue with the purple and the acid wash has grown on me so much since I got it. So I don't want to hate sell it because I really like the knife. I love it. To be honest, I love it. If it worked the way I wanted it to, it would be one of my favorite knives, hands down. It's that good. I want another one, actually. Even with this, I want another one. Look at the tolerances. I mean, look at that. You can barely see a gap between the blade. That's how good it is. The way the blade is fit to everything, it's just beautiful. It really is. It's got some things that bother me, like, you know, it has to get past this to break. It's not very far, but sometimes it's a little frustrating having to do that, right? It does the double bounce, and then it sits on the, let's see if I can get it to do it. Now that I want it to, it won't, right? Come on. There. It'll sit like that on a double bounce, and then you got to put it back in. That's, I don't know. That's, you could tune it. You could tune that out if you wanted to. Anything else I think is a negative? Obviously, the constant maintenance. That's really my biggest gripe with it. You know, because when it starts to get hung up like that, the detent feels lighter. You could fail it. Like, it's just annoying. Like, but then you put a drop of oil on the nub or that little cylinder thing in there. I'll show you what I mean. Just put a drop. Like, I take one of these, right? I'll just show you. I did it already, didn't I? But whatever. I'll do it again. Take one of these guys. Take the KPL Heavy. Just get that kind of soaked in on it. And then I just touch it against the nub and that rod in there. I don't even know what to call that thing. Like this. Like that. Just get it on there. Wipe down any excess. And then watch. I mean, it was still really good before I did that. So it didn't really need it. But you can see there, it's just, it's like, so it gets to a point where it's starting to not drop shut. And then you do that and boom, it's like a magnet again. It's insane. So, I don't know. I just want to figure it out because I love the knife. That's kind of the point here, guys. It's not that I want to sit here and hate on the knife because I love it. Those are all things I love about this knife, right? One other thing I don't love is the lock bar feels like it needs to get pushed really far out of the way. So, like, I always think I'm disengaging it here, but I'm not. I have to push further. You know, that's weird, but it's sort of an odd gripe because sometimes I'm like, come on. Oh, you know, I got to push further. So I'm learning to just, you know, shove it all the way every time. That's what she said. Anyway, these are all little things, but that maintenance thing is a big deal. Like, you just don't want to have to do that every day. It just gets to a point where it's like, come on. What if I go on a trip and I want to bring this knife and I have it in pocket for a couple days and then it's not dropping shut the way I want to? And what, I got to always have a maintenance kit on me? Like, or obviously I could just deal with it for a day. I get that, guys. These are first world problems, right? But it's an expensive knife. It's $1,000 knife. It should function the way it should function. So anyway, I will update you guys if I get a response from Grimsmo that helps at all or doesn't or whatever. Of course, I'll let you guys know. One other thing I want to note, since, I don't know, I'm just randomly doing a video, I sold the nurse. I sold it to my buddy Joe. He's always wanted it, and I just have to remove the memory of Gavco from my collection because I'm getting sick of hearing myself bring it up every time. Every time I look at the knife or something comes up about a maker, I talk about it, and it's just bothering me. It's not bothering me. It's just annoying, right? So I wanted to get rid of it. Just be done with it. So that's what I did. So Joe is the new owner of the nurse. Anyway, I love you guys. I just wanted to give you an update where I'm at. I'm still at with the Rask. I hope it breaks in, and I hope it becomes perfect, or maybe they offer for me to send it in. I would do it just to find out if they think there's anything wrong with it, or maybe they can update it or something. This is, I think, at this point, well, it's, 6 months old or whatever, but that's a long time in the knife making world. But let me know what you guys think. Am I just being overly dramatic about it? Have you ever had a knife like this? Would it bug you? Because it bugs me. Like, I get to see it do this, and then all of a sudden it's like, or not dropping at all. Shit. So it's more a factor of, I know it can do it. So, like, why isn't it doing it? I didn't cut myself, luckily, but I did flick the knife into my hand like a genius. So, I love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. And I will catch you later. Hey, guys. So, for you guys still watching at the very end of this video, I did actually get another Rask. So I have this, this was blue, but it was stripped of anno, and these were gold, I think, or bronze, and they are now blue. So somebody modded this. It was done extremely well. I took it apart and cleaned it and got it tuned like that. Carried that one all day. And then here's the one that I was having a little bit of trouble with, but it seems that it was just a break-in period, I think. I mean, I'll do a long-term review at some point, or just a full review that'll be after a while here. And this one's been dialed in for a few days now, and I did carry it a day or two, and it hasn't needed the oil. So I think it was just breaking, because I talked to the previous owner, and he said he'd only flipped it like 10 times. So I think the same thing happened with this one. So they just take a little bit to break in, and I am very impatient. So that's kind of a follow-up on the Rask there, guys. Just wanted to give you my, honest feedback there after a little while. It doesn't seem to be the knife. It seems to be a break-in period, and I just wasn't looking for that because, the first one is 6 months old or something. I just assumed it was, had been carried and broken in, but it just hadn't. So anyway, I'm really happy with both of these. Happy to have two, and we'll see what happens with them. But thanks, guys. Peace.